Hello everybody, I'm Sinead from Mums at Work, and today I'm here with our VIP member, Geraldine McGrath. You're very welcome here, Geraldine. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, Sinead, an absolute pleasure to be on. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And tell everybody a bit about you, Geraldine.
Yeah, Sinead, so I'm Geraldine and I'm a mum of four, first and foremost, and married to Declan, and we're based in Enniskillen. And going back to my background, Sinead, really, I suppose, from early 20s, I was in the childcare sector and the co-owner of Children's Day nurseries. And I really enjoyed that. But when baby number four come along, I was feeling so stuck. And I was like, how can I continue a full-time job and really trying to balance out being a mum? And a lot of guilt hit me, Sinead, to be honest. A lot of guilt hit me. And I knew I had to find something or do something for change, because I think sometimes we sit and wait for hope that something's going to come to us. But at this moment, Kiana was 6 weeks old. I looked at her in the Moses basket and I thought, you know what? I have to take control of this change, because if I don't, nothing's going to happen. So I went upon Google, as we do, and started Googling, what I wanted to do. And it was around coaching or something around that, but I really didn't have a clue, if I'm being very honest. And that day I came across a lifestyle coach opportunity. Behind that was a network marketing company, Forever Living Products. And I thought, no, why would I go down that avenue after working so hard for my qualifications and having a good job? Why would I go down that avenue? So I basically left it there, returned to work when Kiana was 6 months old. And I knew that it just wasn't for me anymore. But wow, what a hard choice to have to make, and what a hard decision to have to really come to terms with. So basically, I went straight back to what I seen when Kiana was 6 weeks old in the Moses basket. And in June 2016, I joined Forever Living Products. And to think now that almost 6 years I've been involved in the industry of network marketing, it really opened up, Sinead, so many more doors for me, and it continues to do so. It really, the whole coaching and mentoring was really my area of passion. So helping other people to really see what they wanted from life. But I think the biggest door it opened was the door of personal development, and not something that I ever had been into before, but a huge, huge area for me to really start exploring and really figuring out, who is Geraldine and what is she all about? So very briefly, in terms of my network marketing business, I've had a fantastic 6 years. The first year, probably didn't know what really I was doing too much, but got very excited. And I've been a VIP member on three occasions now. And I'm also in the leadership team for Ireland last year and again for 2022. And I've hit basically all of the big incentives on our marketing plan, those ones that when you start, you think, do you know what? They're not for me. I'll never be good enough to reach them. So I was able to do that, Sinead, and it then brought me to a really different point in my life. And that come about really in 2020, because I was so successful. My business was very, very successful. I had having more time as a mum, I had more flexibility, and that need had been met. But something within me was still feeling very stuck. So even though I was stuck when I was coming away from the childcare sector, this feeling of stuck, it was a very different feeling of stuck, but I was still stuck. And through the coaching and mentoring, which is my passionate part in the network marketing, what I learned, Sinead, and what I realized is that so many people out there are stuck because they're trying to get this perfection that doesn't really exist. And while I'm speaking about that, I'll bring you to a point where it really all changed for me. And that was last year, summer of 2021. I had an opportunity to do a TED Talk. And when the opportunity came, I was absolutely blown away. And let's be honest, what happened? The negative self-talk come in. You wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be good enough. And it was really overpowering. But I decided that it was my time to take power, to take my own power, my own control, and say, do you know what, Geraldine, give it a go. Try it and see what happens. So from my life coaching in 2020, and also from the whole experience of the TEDx talk and what it brought up for me, is that I ran, hang on, this is what's been going on. You've all these traits of perfectionism. So basically procrastination, overthinking, my negative self-talk, which I've realized not just in my adult years, Sinead, I'm going back to when I was a teenager, being bullied at school. My self-negative talk, even at that point, was possibly worse than the bullies. And so we had to really figure out, where has all this come from, or what's going on here? And it actually links back to a childhood trauma. And when I was 2, I was critically ill. I had measles. I was in hospital. And for like 24 hours, basically, I was touch and go. My parents had to wait outside a room, and they didn't really know what the outcome was going to be. And for almost 3 weeks, I was in different hospitals, and they didn't really know what was going to be the consequences of it. And my dad had to work to put the food on the table. That was the basis of it. We come from very, very humble beginnings. And mum had my 2 older sisters and a newborn baby at home. So as a young child as too, there was times where I was in that hospital by myself, very alone. And once we got back home and back to the home environment, there was a lot of hospital visits for a long, long time. And it was really, the consequence of it was that my voice was lost. My speech, wasn't going to come very naturally. And so in my early childhood, speech therapy played a significant role. And I had to really go through learning to speak and pronouncing small words. And it was part of my nursery, it was part of my primary school. And also my mum had to bring me to additional sessions out of school as well. And then I realized, Sinead, that when we moved to Ireland, I was only 10 years old, so excited, like a holiday. And within a matter of weeks, I was then a victim of bullying that went on for maybe a couple of years. So really, again, my voice was silenced. And that really, I suppose, had brought up all of these traits of perfectionism. And going back then, Sinead, to coaching and mentoring so many other women, I found they're actually going through a very similar process. Procrastination, overthinking, and that negative self-talk, Sinead, is really paralyzing people from taking action. And even though I had success in my network marketing, I had found that need of really wanting to fulfill being a mum. I still sat here for days, and I struggled with my self-negative talk. I struggled with the overthinking, and I started to procrastinate. And it was after my TED talk last year, my inspiration come from really listening to all the people that I had mentored, that they were actually in quite a similar position for me. And, I believe, Sinead, you discover your purpose once you start to be your true self.
Yes, and you know what? I was just thinking there as well, other people generally do. We have this culture in Northern Ireland of judgment on people who are successful and people who stray from the normal path of career, and people who are doing something that brings attention to themselves. Because in Northern Ireland, children should be seen and not heard, and that is drummed into so many women. And then we have this, this pressure of perfection as mothers, as wives, as career people. And then whenever you take the time for yourself or for your family, then it's also taken away from your career, that we aren't really seen to be able to do both at the same time. So women are in a losing position, and it's only when they find that strength in themselves where they say no more, then they can do it. But they hear that voice, and the only time I think that they can feel strong enough to do it is when they're inspired, or they're held accountable, or they have the support of other people. And that's why I love the idea of mums at work and women supporting women, and you've got your own community too. Do you want to tell me a bit about it?
Yes, Sinead. So yes, the inspiration come from the TED Talk, and we've been working very hard behind the scenes, and really, you know, I think Tony Robbins has a lovely quote, Sinead, and it's about self-awareness, and he says self-awareness is one of the rarest human commodities, and you know what, it really is, because that's what's brought me now to the next part of my journey, is self-awareness. And from working with so many women that are in the same situation, what I've realized and what I want to share, and my purpose here, because once we find ourselves, we discover our purpose, is to really share far and wide, Sinead, that procrastination, self-negative talk, and overthinking, it is a habit, it's a behavior. And we really can't give ourselves these labels, because what we sometimes say is that, oh, do you know, I'm a procrastinator, I'll do it tomorrow. Or, do you know, and we're constantly giving ourselves these labels, and these labels are really keeping us stuck even more. So what we have done is I have created a completely free community, and it is called I Am Unstoppable. And that is really the whole theme. I want to be and will be a first advocate for women that really want to come from that place of feeling stuck. But to do that, we have to really learn about these habits and behaviors. We have to really strip down what is procrastination, and we have to strip down overthinking patterns, and we have to really look into negative self-talk and do, where is it coming from? But what we do know, Sinead, is that so much of it is all around emotional regulation. And it's really starting to have, first of all, self-identification around what's coming up for you, what's going on, what emotions are coming up for you as well. And then once we have the self-identification, we then move through a process which will bring us to self-acceptance. Because once you accept, Sinead, that you have this as a huge part of it, they're all huge parts, but self-acceptance, once you accept that, you know, I maybe have a really bad habit of procrastinating, or my negative self-talk, I would never speak to my friends and my family like the way I speak to myself. Having that will help you then move on to the next process, which is all around self-awareness. And there's many areas that do come into it, but it's really around wide and far with so many women, to show them how they can be an unstoppable version of themselves. Because when we spoke before, Sinead, one of the things that I've realized in life is that no one's coming to save you. And
you know what? I put up videos on LinkedIn, these kinds of videos of women talking about women, and I feel, you know, already without any proof that we are being judged for these videos by probably men and people that maybe I worked with in a past life, in a career, you know, in a normal job, and that they're looking at us thinking, what's that all about, really? You know, I've made that assumption, but really what I haven't taken into consideration, for example, is that maybe somebody's out there saying, look at those two women go, look at them forging their way. You know, and that's why I just decided I was going to do it, judgment or no judgment, and just do it, as Nike says, just do it. Like, what's the worst going to happen? Who cares?
100%. And you know what, we all have an RAS system in our brain, in our mind, and basically what we tell that system, that's exactly what it believes. And what I've learned along this process as well is that no matter how successful somebody is, no matter what stage of their business or the career they're at, people still going back into this cycle of the whole self-doubt, procrastination, the same cycle every stage to go through. So sometimes we look at people that are more successful, that's who we usually would look up to. We do go into a bit of comparison, which we know is not healthy either. And what we don't realize is that regardless, people, no matter what level they're at, they're still going through that same process. Because if they want to go to the next stage in their career or the next stage in their business, they have to go through that same cycle again. And one of the areas, Sinead, that I'm very passionate about that really fits so well into this is comfort zones.
Yeah, and you should never sit in one too long.
And nothing happens. Nothing happens in comfort zones. We don't grow. Yes, it's okay to have a sneak peek back when maybe life brings a challenge or we need just to go into our safe place again. But we really have to step out of that comfort zone, because you have a zone of fear after the comfort zone, and people get so fearful in that zone that they just hop straight back in. And there's a book around, I'm sure you've read, the 10 feet from gold, and if they just would have went 10 more feet, they would have went into the learning zone, which opens up the whole world of opportunity for them. So it's all around, creating that self-awareness around what are your behaviors and patterns, but accepting that they are behaviors, the patterns and the habits. What's good about that? They're all workable, they're all changeable. And with you giving that commitment to yourself, then your life could be very, very different, because we spend so much time feeling stuck that if we were to think as much as we were to take action, we'd be in very different places.
Yes, and I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, and I think the thing was that I heard him say years ago was, for business success, if you needed to find £10,000 by the end of the week, you would say there's no way in my business that I can do that. But if somebody says I've stolen your child and you will get them back when you get £10,000, all of a sudden you become resourceful, and it's about getting the right resources around you. So my advice for women is, if you don't feel like you can do it by yourself, to get a coach that's a resource, to look at strategy, to look and see what other way people are doing it. Whatever it is that you have, look at that obstacle as the challenge. What do I need to learn and do today? Because I'm going to do it no matter what. And I think that's why it's great to have coaches like yourself, Geraldine, who are ready to help women to take that step to where they belong to be.
It really is, Sinead. And I think, from being on the journey personally myself, one of the areas that I've really learned is that, the feelings are still going to come up. Them emotional regulations are still going to come up. So you're going to have the feelings of maybe self-doubt. You're going to have the feelings of overthinking, but it's learning to take the action through them feelings. And once you start that and keep it as a consistent habit, you really are onto a different track within your life. And I had a quote, Sinead, this week, and I just want to say, I'll just pull it up here very quickly. And I thought it was just a really, really good quote that fits into around what I'm working on at the moment. And it says, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. And that's from Maya Angelou. And I just thought it was so powerful, Sinead, because sometimes what we can do as well is we can be very, very hard on ourselves. So this is all around self-compassion, and we can be very hard on ourselves, but that's not going to make us go anywhere either. And we have to realize that in any given moment, we've always done the best that we could with what we known at that particular time.
Yes, absolutely. And I love watching her on TikTok as well as you, Geraldine. We'll say no more. If anybody wants to head over to TikTok and see Geraldine, she's there all the time, and LinkedIn and everywhere. But again, go back to Tony Robbins, I think it's that 4 stages of awareness.
Yes.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That's the first stage. So how are you supposed to know any different? Then when you realize that you're supposed to know it, then you take those baby steps towards it, trying and figuring it out.
Yes.
Until you know what you're doing, but you're still not very confident at it. But the more that you do it, then the more it becomes easier and a habit. And next thing you know, it's like riding a bike or driving a car or public speaking or doing live videos or whatever it is. But the whole idea of women supporting women, because there's other people who are good at that may not be, good at other things, and we can share top tips and advice for each other. And I think the hardest thing that we have as women is asking for help sometimes, because we see it as a failure or a weakness, and we should do more of it. And you have such great inspiration and advice for women, when you in your community as well. So I think what we'll do is make sure we put the link for that community under this video whenever it's finished.
Yeah, so I have my Facebook community, Sinead. It's the free community. We have a lot working on in the background, so we have a lot of exciting things coming now within the next few months. And you can find me as well. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a business page also on Facebook, and as you mentioned, Instagram and TikTok as well. And I have to say I'm enjoying TikTok. It's a new platform for me, but I'm enjoying TikTok. And really what I'm trying to do is get as much content out there as possible, just to help start that self-awareness, help people start on that journey. And instead of them feeling stuck, instead of them being at home comparing themselves or having a bit of jealousy around someone else is doing well, or just feeling just like they're just not good enough, because do you know, Sinead, life, as we know, brings us many, many challenges. And if we can really get this one right for ourselves and focus on ourselves and give ourselves that self-compassion, self-love that we deserve, we can then move forward from a different lens.
Yes, and before we came on this video, we talked about certain specific things that you can help women with, and procrastination is a big one, but there's a few others, isn't there?
Yeah, so you have the whole procrastination, you have the self-negative talk, and you have the overthinking. But really the key is, Sinead, is it's like a process. First of all, as I mentioned, you have to have that self-identification. So you're walking through a lovely process, and then you go into self-acceptance, and then you go into self-awareness as well. But there's so much more that comes into that, as well as the procrastination, the self-negative talk, and the overthinking. We're speaking about your comparison, we're speaking about jealousy, we're speaking about so many real emotions that hold people back each and every day in their life, Sinead.
Yes, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Geraldine, for sharing that with us. It's fantastic. Yeah. And you know, we'll see more of you all everywhere that I go, you're there, and it's great to see you, because it's great to have that inspiration for other women. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Shirley. I think you mentioned at the start, and I actually was on a podcast recently in the US, and we said, you know, we had a connection straight away, and that connection was what you said to me on the start of our call, Sinead, is that we have to learn to say yes to opportunity. Yes, we can't overrun ourselves, and we have to make sure we're serving ourselves, but we have to learn to say yes to opportunity, because on my journey, Sinead, opportunities have come from opportunities. Yes. And I may have been in an opportunity and looking around me thinking, oh my goodness, what am I even here for? Or what is all this about? Before you know it, within a short or maybe matter of weeks or a matter of months or maybe the following year, an opportunity will arise from that opportunity.
Yes, and lots of ladies who are watching that are maybe like me, a little bit introverted, and don't feel like going and putting themselves out there. Now, and I feel that all the time, and I'm sure, Jordan, you were never a natural speaker, because you lost your, you know, the power of your voice. So what I can say is, look at us, we can do it. And, you know, you don't have to be loud or, you know, a model or look the part. You just have to just do it, because people buy from people that they like, know, and trust. And they buy from people who are like them. And we're just like everybody else. And we just have to get out there and do it.
100%, Sinead. And people think, you know, I'll do it when I'm feeling very confident. I'll do it when my self-esteem's, you know, I'm working on my confidence every day. I'm working on all them things every day, and we all will be throughout our lives. When just your confidence is not something just naturally comes to you one morning you wake up. It's a constant work in progress, you know. And so if someone's watching in, Sinead, and they're thinking, I'm just going to wait until this happens, or, you know, what I would say to them is just go for it, because live number one, you'll be sitting there and you'll be like, oh my goodness, you'll be like, everything will just be annoying you and it will just be a tough one. But then you go to live number 2, then you get to live number 12, and it starts to become a lovely natural flow. And then you can start being your authentic self and really let people see the real person that you are. But you have to go through that process. Otherwise, it's not going to happen for you.
And being consistent is key, isn't it? Consistency is key. Keep showing up, keep doing what you do, and keep focused on your road ahead. And don't turn your head and watch other people. Yes, see what can't even speak to the tips and tricks you can pick up, but don't believe that you can be them, because you can only be you and they are them.
Yeah, and Sinead, you know what it is that we're all unique. And what I always say when I'm mentoring and coaching, even throughout the last 6 years, is that my client has it within them. I'm not giving them a magic ingredient. I'm just drawing out whatever's within them. And then once we start to draw that out and they discover more about themselves, then in time, their purpose will be who they are and what they're meant to be. And then they'll be in a position where they'll not even think about that comparison, because they're so focused on living their purpose, getting out there into the world and sharing exactly what it is.
Exactly. So thank you so much, Geraldine. That's great. And I'm sure there are lots of people here who are watching this who can resonate with you and who'll be excited to join your community as well. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, an absolute pleasure as always, Sinead, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really, really grateful.
No, you're very welcome. And if you're a VIP member as well who wants to do a video like that, like this one, please just get in touch with me and we can get that scheduled. Thank you, Geraldine. It's great. You're amazing.
Thank you. And you, straight back to you, Sinead. You're an amazing lady. And I hope you have a lovely day, Sinead.
Thank you so much.